video presentation on focus groups, prepared as part of the Research Methods for Social Science course, School of Environment, Griffith University. You should view this presentation in conjunction with Chapter 21 of the Bryman textbook. You can download the slides associated with this presentation on the Learning at Griffith website, together with the slides that accompany the Bryman chapter. You will recall from the previous presentation that focus groups are part of the suite of data collection methods that can be used within the broad framework of qualitative research approaches. While we may think of an interview as a one-on-one process, with focus groups or group interviews, this is not the case. Now, in the textbook, Bryman defines focus groups as a form of group interview in which there are several participants. In addition to the moderator, there is an emphasis in the questioning on a fairly tightly defined topic, and the emphasis is upon interaction within the group and the joint construction of meaning. Now, this definition is important as it highlights both the main properties of focus groups as well as some of the key benefits of focus groups. Many of us think of focus groups as being the stock and trade of marketing and market research, which allows the testing of new products or as a way of gaining audience feedback about advertisements.
Today we're going to test various features on different smartphones. So have any of you used these models of smartphone before? Maya?
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay. Does anyone know what the SMART in smartphone stands for?
I think I got it.
Brittany?
I think the smartphone means like maybe the phone's more intelligent than you are, so that it can, if you're not if you're not tech savvy, then the phone is more tech savvy than you.
Okay. Let's do a little Q&A. So Maya, if you could have any button on your phone, what would that button do?
If I could have any button on my phone, I would love to press it and I have a shower. Because I feel so grimy sometimes.
Where would the water be stored?
It would be kind of one of those things, like it triggers a signal that finds out exactly where I am, and then a helicopter comes, and then all of a sudden, they bring down a portable shower, which I'm sure is invented in Japan or something.
Okay. Jackie?
I'd like it to connect to my dogs. I got on the phone and I was like, "Hi, Bunny, it's Mama. Hi, Boots." They might be like, "Rawr, rawr, rawr."
Okay. Do you speak dog?
A little bit, yeah.
Great. Does anyone know what the square root of 9 is? Maya?
33.
Okay.
I like threes.
Me too. They're calming.
Okay, so let's get back to the phones, okay? Let's imagine that your phone has 120 pictures. An eighth of those pictures, girls, are of me.
Ooh.
So how many pictures are there of me? And either do the math or just find my pictures. Brittany, how did you get that answer so fast?
It like tells you exactly, like view all photos of this person. Like
That's smart.
I like that. I like that way more than what's going on over here. This phone kind of makes me feel dumb.
Okay.
In the fields of planning and policy, focus groups have proven useful across a range of areas. The paper by David Morgan, available at the Learning at Griffith website, provides a useful overview to the application of focus groups. In addition, for a specific example around planning, the paper by Jason Corburn shows how the use of focus groups provided local knowledge input to better plan and understand environmental risks and health outcomes in an urban planning setting. Now, it is perhaps important to make the distinction between group interviews and focus groups. This audio grabbed from the Oxford University Press Online Resource Centre, which is associated with the Bryman textbook, outlines this distinction.
So, why might it be useful to distinguish between focus groups and group interviews? Well, focus groups have a purposeful interest in intergroup dynamics. That is, the research aims will, in some respect, be directed towards how people interact with each other. So focus groups are not simply a means to increase the number of respondents. Instead, they should be used when the research questions have some interest in the way individuals discuss things in groups. And this is why they're popular with market researchers, pollsters, and audience researchers in media studies, because they're interested in how ideas about particular cultural products are established and maintained, and the mechanisms by which those products are received and understood, all of which happen socially. Now, it's probably true enough to say that many studies claim to use focus groups. However, in many cases, these would be more accurately considered to be group interviews, because group interviews are essentially interviews with groups of people about an issue, with little direct interest in how that group works. So if you're using focus groups to increase the number of respondents for reasons of efficiency, you're probably actually doing a group interview. If you are doing this, then I'd urge a degree of caution. Whilst there are contexts in which group interviews might be desirable, you should always think about how that group context could impact on the data with reference to your research questions. And dare I say it, consider whether a group interview is the most appropriate method of data collection. After all, as focus groups and group interviews are likely to utilise forms of non-probability sampling, merely increasing the number of respondents will not make the study any more generalisable. In fact, in some instances, it might actually make the process of translating research findings more problematic.
In planning a research approach, you might want to ask, what are the benefits of using a focus group as part of data collection tool as compared to some other approach? Bryman discusses a number of these benefits in the textbook and includes the fact that you can use group dynamics present in a focus group to tease out particular issues in a way that one-on-one interviews cannot. That focus groups allow you to understand why people feel about an issue in a more in-depth manner than is available in quantitative data collection approaches. By listening to others within the group, an individual may expand or qualify a previous comment, or may debate other participants' comments or statements. This may allow a variety of viewpoints to be obtained. Because of the structure of a focus group, individuals may be able to raise issues they view important in a way that is not available in other approaches. Because the moderator has to relinquish a certain amount of control to the group, issues that concern participants may come to the surface. As we considered in the previous presentation, this is important for qualitative researchers as the viewpoints of the subjects are an important point of departure. In a similar way, the presence of a group may also allow clarification of issues as individuals can argue and challenge each other's point of view. The result is that research findings may represent more realistic accounts of what people think due to the pressure to rethink or revise statements. And finally, the presence of a group may offer a way to study how individuals collectively make sense of issues and construct meaning around them. This is especially important for researchers who believe that everyday meaning is the outcome of interactions rather than individuals. The practical aspects of conducting a focus group are well set out in the Bryman textbook or other research methods texts. The important points revolve around a number of steps and issues ranging from how to record the content of focus groups to how big groups should be and who should be involved. A focus group will work best if it is recorded and then subsequently transcribed. By recording, either by using a digital voice or video recorder, the researcher has a better chance of understanding the nuanced interactions meanings, and discussion that are often the core to focus group output. This can be compared to other data collection approaches where writing notes may suffice. A particular important issue relates to the number of groups a researcher should hold. The optimal number of groups is dependent on a particular researcher's research question together with the available resources. The Bryman text provides examples from a number of published studies which show that the possible number of groups varies considerably, with some studies only having a few groups, say 4 or 5, up to one study having 52 groups. A related issue is how big each group should be. Often it is suggested that the best size for a focus group is around 6 to 10 members. The optimal size is a matter of judgment and may depend on the topic and the amount of interaction and involvement that the researcher expects to obtain from participants. As each focus group requires a moderator to lead the discussion, a question arises around the extent to which the moderator guides and is involved in the discussion. As the objective of focus groups is to glean participants' perspectives, there is a tendency for researchers to use a small number of general questions to guide the discussion and for the moderators to allow a large degree of latitude. In this way, the discussion can be wide-ranging and the participants allowed to explore the topics in their own way. Another important question is who can participate in focus groups, or how do we sample for focus groups? Participants are generally chosen because they have or are expected to have some knowledge of or relationship to the topic in question. For example, in the article by Melbourne University's Deb Waugh, which is on the Learning at Griffith website, she held 8 focus groups, which consisted of people who were already known to each other. As the topic revolved around the issue of social disadvantage, the researchers' sample was drawn from a range of groups that were representative of the topic area, including participants in long-term unemployment programs, community-based support groups, and friendship networks. The researcher must also take time and carefully develop the questions that will guide the discussion. Like structured and unstructured interviews, the questions used in a focus group should be designed so that the researcher is able to obtain the types of information they require. This is obviously guided by the broad research question and the purpose of the research. Some researchers prefer to use just 1 or 2 general questions that stimulate discussion, with the moderator intervening where necessary. Finally, when designing a focus group, the researcher needs to consider how they will start the discussion, how long the focus group should run for, and how best to finish up the discussion. Similarly to other interviewing processes, the researchers need to introduce the main topic, setting any ground rules and ensuring that they reinforce basic ethical principles from the very start of the discussion. The researcher may also get participants to complete forms that record the socio-demographic and other information about each individual. At the end of the group discussion, the researcher needs to thank the participants for their time and effort. Regardless of how you approach the focus group exercise, there are clear do's and don'ts which the following video outlines.
Have a seat anywhere.
Hello, is this the student focus group session?
Yeah, I think it is. I'm Wendy, if you haven't figured that out by now. Today we're going to talk about faculty and what they know about your learning. So just share with me some ideas of like what you want faculty members to know. Sorry. Hey, how's it going? I know, I'm doing a session right now. Yeah, I know. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Please also make sure your phones are off. I think it's really disrespectful, so we want to make sure everything's off so we can actually get the session going. Okay, so what does faculty know about student learning, and have you used Connect before?
I haven't used Connect yet, but I've used Vista.
Okay, well this session's more about Connect and not about Vista, so let's try to stay on topic because we don't want the session taking forever. So unless you have anything to say about Connect, can contribute? Oh. Okay. Does anyone else have anything about Connect and learning?
Well, I don't know if this is on topic, but I don't think I necessarily learn on Connect. I mean, I use the discussion boards though.
Discussion boards? And they don't help you learn? Do you even post?
Yeah.
Alright, let's just move on to question 2, which is I don't know. Okay, let's just, do you guys even know how you learn? What's your GPA? Do you pay attention in class? Do you go on Facebook? What do you guys do?
Why are you asking us? Are you judging us?
No, I'm not judging you. I mean, not to be so offensive. I just want to know what gets in the way of your learning. Are you one of those kids that has your laptop open on Facebook during lectures? Well, there's only 3 of us, so let's wrap this up. I'm just gonna write down that you guys go on Facebook, and we can just conclude this session. So thanks for coming. Good morning, everyone. The purpose of this focus group is to offer your perspective on how you learn best. This information will be shared anonymously with faculty members, so feel free to give us all your thoughts on how you learn best.
Sure. I feel the generalization of students all being lazy and unmotivated is just not true. At times, I become unmotivated because of how boring the class is. On the other hand, I'm super interested in being social coordinator of the Scheme Board Club.
That's a great point, Greg. Now, think back to that time that you were bored. Can you explain maybe more why you were bored?
Sure, I was bored.
How do you learn best? Take your time. It's a safe space. Please feel free to share whatever comes to mind.
I learn best when I can apply what I learned to my personal life.
That's a great point, Cheyenne. Now, can you explain more about that connection? What are some barriers to your learning? Think of a time that you were in class and you started sleeping, playing games online, checking Facebook.
I watch YouTube in class.
That's a good example. And how does YouTube impact your learning?
In the process of considering the various data collection methods, we have discussed the limits that apply to each approach, and the use of focus groups is no different. Again, you should consult the text for more information on these issues. Running a focus group can be much like herding cattle. Too much control and the cattle might not cooperate. Too little control and the cattle will run free. Focus groups are similar. A good moderator needs to know how much control to have, but for an inexperienced moderator, too much or too little control can impact on the quality and the type of information that is obtained. A significant issue in running focus groups is that of recruitment. They can be difficult to organise, and there is always a danger that participants don't turn up. This can be a problem when running focus groups with busy individuals, or if the focus group is held during a time of day when participants are usually engaged with another task. Think, for example, running a focus group of senior managers during the workday. One way around this, which Bryman discusses, is making a payment for participation in the focus group. One of the other potential pitfalls of focus groups is that they can result in a degree of information overload. One single focus group can result in many pages of transcribed text, which needs to be sorted and analysed. In addition, there is the problem of participants talking over each other, which can make information difficult to describe and transcribe. While the presence of a group of individuals may be a positive side of focus groups, it can also be a distinct disadvantage if not controlled. The presence of others in the group may result in individuals presenting socially acceptable responses, or, depending on the topic, may cause embarrassment or discomfort. Think about young adults discussing a socially sensitive issue. The presence of a group of peers may result in individuals presenting information or responses that they think will make them fit in. Alternatively, they may not share or participate in the discussion if they are embarrassed about their own experiences. In this case, the research needs to consider if a focus group is the most appropriate approach. Finally, I want to look at another example of a focus group, this time involving The Simpsons.
All right, thanks for participating in our focus group, kids. Today, we're going to show you some itchy and scratchy cartoons.
Cool!
We want you to tell us what you think, and be honest, because no one from the show is here spying on you.
Why is that mirror sneezing?
Look, it's just an old creaky mirror. You know, sometimes it sounds a little like it's sneezing or coughing or talking softly. Now, you each have a knob in front of you. When you like what you see, turn the knob to the right. When you don't like what you see, turn it left.
My knob tastes funny.
Please refrain from testing the knob.
They like itchy, they like scratchy. One kid seems to love the Speedo Man. What more do they want?
Okay, how many of you kids would like itchy and scratchy to deal with real-life problems like the ones you face every day? And who would like to see them do just the opposite, getting into far-out situations involving robots and magic powers? So you want a realistic, down-to-earth show that's completely off the wall and swarming with magic robots.
That's right. Good. And also, you should win things by watching.
You kids don't know what you want. That's why you're still kids, 'cause you're stupid. Just tell me what's wrong with the freaking show.
Excuse me, sir. The thing is, there's not really anything wrong with the Itchy and Scratchy show. It's as good as ever. But after so many years, the characters just can't have the same impact they once had.
That's it. That's it, little girl. You saved Itchy and Scratchy.
Please sign these papers indicating that you did not save Itchy and Scratchy.
So you should now have an introductory insight into focus groups as a data collection method. You should now read and review the chapter on focus groups in the Bryman text. You may also wish to review the chapter on qualitative sampling, as these relate to the recruiting of focus groups.